All systems go. Clear for liftoff. What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, aka ToeTagginTambo, back for a very special edition of the PGA Show this Wednesday, May 15th, 1 year anniversary. It's our birthday, SHIPIT Nation birthday celebration. See so many familiar faces in the chat. Appreciate all of you out there. I mean, people taking days off work and splitting their work week up. Gotta love that. We will have tons of giveaways and more. I made sure that we had the editor and our guys put birthday celebration / PGA Championship show. It is a major week. We're excited to talk through that. We will, as always, we'll talk roster construction, ownership, some of the guys we think are getting overlooked, some of the ranges where we think it doesn't make sense. This ownership's not adding up, all different things and more. But I got to bring my guy Hoopster here. Excited Hoop. It's 1 year since we started this thing and kicked it off, and it's been an incredible year. Lots more to come in year two, but want to celebrate it a little bit today. How you doing, my friend? What's going on?
Yeah, doing well. Obviously, very, very exciting. I mean, 1 year in business here, and I'm already dropping stuff. I'm so excited. I got the painters outside, so you might hear some hammering. They're working literally right outside my window, so I apologize for that. But man, could not be more excited. I mean, 1 year we launched this thing. A lot of work went into it, leading up to the launch, and then for the past 12 months, it seems like you and I, and our entire team. Head down, going to work to improve and to add on to our product, kind of the motto that we've been talking about. When we launched a year ago, we had PGA and MLB, nothing else. Those are two sports we offered. And at the time, I can still remember on some of our first shows, if you go back, said, listen, we understand we don't have it all at this point, so just give us a try. And if you're somewhere else and you like what they're offering there, just give us a try. Let us show you that we're willing to work hard to get the product to where we want it to be. And that's exactly what happened. 1 year in, we're at the point now where we have content, full content for all the main sports on DraftKings and FanDuel as well. Ownership, projections, core plays, rankings. Obviously, it varies a little bit sport to sport. But 12 months in, I really feel like we're at the point now where we can say, hey, this is the spot that gives you everything you need to have a chance to be successful at DFS at a very, very affordable price. You look around at some of our competitive pricing, we talk about it all the time. The industry standard now is $500 to $600 per sport. So if you're playing MLB, if you're playing NFL, PGA, whatever it may be, you're probably paying $500 to $600 annually. What we offer here, $500 to $600 for all our sports, all our content. And just very, very excited for this anniversary. And I couldn't have picked a better business partner to launch this thing with.
Yeah, thank you. Excited to be here with you, and we're just going back and forth. We have such a good team over at SHIPIT Nation. We talked about it in the Discord with all of our members today, but I can't keep up with all these. Just can't say thank you enough to everybody that's out there. I know, we'll get to it and go through everything. Some people talk about upgrading already. It is the last day to upgrade and before the prices go up on the annual and all that. But I will say, we said we'd start with the giveaways. We've got some members to thank for some of these giveaways. Shout out to our guy, LSU Nick. He's giving away 3 monthly all access memberships. I'm going to give away the first one right here in a second. And then we're going to give away 2 more. Then we're going to add a couple more. Hoop's going to give away 1. I'm going to give away 1. And then we're also going to give away an annual all access membership. And we'll tell you how to get that here in just a little bit. But want to say this. Shout out to Ben Jizzy 47, said, I'm not a member, but watch most of the YouTube shows. I posted it on Twitter X just recently, and I said it's going to be for non-members, members, more on that in a second. But everyone that supports us, and he says all these sports have helped him out. Happy birthday, SHIPIT Nation. So Ben Jizzy, shoot us a message, info@shipitnation.com. Screenshot your YouTube account so we know it's you, and we'll give you the first. Shout out to Nick. Again, LSU Nick, our guy Nick Mars, giving away a all access monthly to you. So you'll get in on that. So that's the first one. Want to let members know too. We talked about it in the Discord. Not everyone can watch this show, so it's been posted multiple places, but make sure to have your notifications turned on tonight. We're going to give everybody else a chance to get in with code BDAY15. We'll get to that here in a second, where you guys can get set up, get in on the action. But if you're a member tonight, there's going to be over $1,000 worth of giveaways in the Discord, some at random, some with a free roll for this week in the PGA streets where you can take all the information. So even if you're just a PGA only member, if you're an all access member, whatever it might be, you can get it on the action. Founding family members, want to say a special thank you to you. Obviously there with us from day one, showing your support, still coming back 12 months later. So we can't tell you enough how much we appreciate you. And obviously we sent you your links out for the free roll that we promised as a loyalty benefit at the very start of this thing. If you were a member within the first 30 days and you're still here with us, obviously it's got a little bit smaller over time. There was no way for it to ever get bigger, but there was going to be huge value for you sticking around, and there's more value to come in year 2. I can promise you that. So thank you for sticking around with us there. Hoop, anything else to add, or did you have anyone you want to give away right out of the gate for one of those all access memberships? I'm going to pull up some other stuff here on the side while you do that.
Yeah, another comment that I saw, I think is definitely worthy of an all access monthly package is our guy, Danny Pettiford. I want to win a membership today so I can make good lineups. And it's a simple statement, but it's kind of true. Like, we're not a company that ever came out and said, you know what, if you sign up for us, you're going to be guaranteed to win money. You're going to win every single day. That's not what we're about. We're about helping you build your process. And, you know, whether it is looking at our cores or our projections or our tier rankings or our slate plans or our player pools, we want it all to be a part of the process in hopes of the members becoming better DFS players on their own, being able to redefine their process, being able to build those competitive lineups. So Danny, you'll win the second all access monthly package today.
Yeah, awesome stuff. And just, you talked about it, Hoop, like the education was a big thing for us. That was one of the phases we went through and said, we're adding something else on, SHIPIT Nation education. And we've got, you know, we started with the NFL 4-hour course. Then we did the NBA with our guy Title. Then we hopped on and did the PGA one. And since added the MLB, where I sort of interviewed you and got all your takes on that. But these are really good courses that can help you get after it. I know there's other sites coming out now talking more about education and getting on how to learn and get better at the game of DFS. And I love that. I think that's what it's all about, right? Trying to get better at this thing and then not just be about these core plays and stuff. Even though we have them here, they're a guideline. Remember that, right? It's a place, the more you learn, the more you earn. Your network is your net worth. There's all these cheesy sayings around it, but some of them are so true. And it is way more about being a part of the community and getting into the Discord or being around versus setting up and just saying, give me your plays. Let me hit that and try and hit $1 million. It's just not how it works. So just want to make sure that's known. And then Danny, email info@shipitnation.com and give us a screenshot of your YouTube account just so we know it's you, and we'll get you set up with that before this evening, so you'll be able to get in to the mix right away, try and get in some of those giveaways. Do want to talk quickly, Hoop, about that annual package. My man Courtney says need to win that annual package. This is an annual all access, the $5.99 membership that's going to $6.99 tomorrow. You go to our X account at SHIPIT Nation. You have to be following us on there, and you can't just follow and take it back. I mean, we'll know when we're doing the random draw giveaway. If someone's not following us, they won't be the winner, and we'll go to the next person in line. But there's 24 hours left. It is the official last chance to get 15% off. It's locked in. It's not first payment only, as many have asked. It's $509 or around $42 a month for the 8 major sports. Most places, like Hoop said, to each their own. That's their business. They're making money off of it. That's great. But most places are charging $400 to $500 for one single sport. Ours is all inclusive. You guys know that. And then there's more on what you get to test out and soft launch trials and things like that you're doing right now. If you are here for PGA only, and we'll of course get there for the major, but it is $33 a day you can lock in, which is about $1 a day. Or if you go with the annual, it's an all access for PGA stuff, is going to be $299, drop down to $254. It works out to about $5 per event. So you go to X, follow us, go down here, make sure you repost this, and then something with hashtag SHIPIT. If you want to wish us a happy birthday, if you want to make a note, it's free to do. It's simple to do. I'm not sure why more people don't do that, but just to make note of that. And then quick note with the 15% off code going away. It's essentially simple. $58 a month if you can just pay for the monthly all access. But if you want to get it for as low as $42 a month, and then you'll have more savings in the future for more things we may add to use towards, like Shiptimizer, which is a free trial right now for any monthly or more members. More on that in a second. You can get this down to $509. Tomorrow, when it's $699 with our normal codes of 10% off, you will pay $629 or $630-ish versus $509. It's a no-brainer. So can't warn you any further. Don't want to go on with it any further. And then lastly, the 33 and the 254, you just simply click here for the all access, or you click here for the PGA only options. Hoop, anything else to add on that? Our guy Rin, big EVR fan, says 42 for 8 major sports and the Hoop lawn care tips. What a deal.
It's a hell of a deal. I'm a little disappointed today in terms of lawn care stuff. So I told you guys I got the painters here today. So I got outside early to kind of get the lawn cut before the painters get here. Sure as shit, I get that lawnmower fired up, and the painters show up 4 or 5 deep, and they're putting shit on the lawn. So I didn't get to finish the job. So I have to go back out there for round 2 of grass cutting. So I'll get that picture posted a little bit later, but it might not look as good as it usually does because they have a lot of shit all over the yard. I know it's going to be compressed, but I'll do my best out there for you.
Yeah, and just one more quick note on this too. Like someone asked earlier, so I'll just bring it up now. Hoop mentioned about things we added throughout the year. Started with just golf and baseball, and where we're at now. This is another item we just added. Not everybody knows about this yet. Even when we announced it, we only announced it on this show internally. It is a soft launch. It's a true beta test with just our members only of 30 days or more. Only monthly members get access, but it is completely free. There's a ton of feedback that goes with it. I've showed the page enough. There's lots of good feedback coming in. Right now, we have PGA, MLB, and NBA live. NFL is done and is the best version of all 4. It's just we obviously aren't launching that right now because there's no point. Anybody who's in will get to play it out, try it out, all that stuff when it comes out. I like Ross, the alpha test. We can call it that. Yeah, I like that for sure. But just to note, this is another thing that when you do just sign up, as long as you get the 33 or the 254, or as long as you get the 58 or the 509, or even if you want to break it up a little bit, you can lock in the 6-month deal. This is the way to get access to that. You will get it for free. It's still going to be at least another 30 days. We're looking at seeing how long it's going to take to finalize some of the big items that we talked about with the lineup builder, MMA, NASCAR, some of the MLB and PGA improvements. So lots there on that. There is a question here, Hoop. It says, if you answer or not, I can write at support, but if on the 6-month plan, what would the price be for the upgrade? That's a good note. If you are on any plan that's not annual and you want to upgrade to it, whether it's PGA only, upgrading to the annual PGA, or the 6-month or the monthly for all access, and want to upgrade to get the better deal, just hit us up, info@shipitnation.com. We'll pull your account. It is fully prorated, so you won't pay any more. All your money you've already paid will apply towards the savings, and it will lock you in for the new savings moving forward. So just hit us up, info@shipitnation.com. We'll set you up there. Another one I thought I saw there. Blah, blah, blah. Just check it out. Scott, we appreciate it. Says, I left the so-called quote-unquote elite site a few months back because of their lack of golf content. Decided after a few days to upgrade. And I don't care who the elite is, a name or another site or whatever. The point is, when Hoop and I started, we did tell people, keep what you've got, see what we got. It's affordable. Let us prove it to you. It's not like we're selling the more expensive version where you have to go find that. So just keep that in mind. And then lastly, 2 quick things that I have, and then I'll kick it back to Hoop. Merch. It's a blowout just for the anniversary. So it's a pop-up sale, 33 off, 33 OFF gets you 33% off anything on the site. When you go to the site, it's just under shop, merch, and then you put whatever you want in your cart. Cheap shipping, cheap prices. You guys can go check it out, but not cheap quality. When you go check it out, everybody talks about it. The hoodies are Nike. The shirts, very comfortable. People wearing them at the gym, all these things. I've seen tons of people posting pictures in their gear. It's awesome. So you guys can check that out. And then lastly, our affiliate program. It doesn't get talked about enough, but whether you are a member or a content creator or whatever it might be out there, if you're not a member of our affiliate program, you need to be. You simply go to shipitnation.com, hit the ... go to affiliates, and then you click register. And when you go here, it's very simple. First and last name, email, websites, or places you will promote it. How are you planning to promote us, and where you are on social media, and click apply. If you want to just hit us up, you can, but we have tons of members. People don't even know this probably, but there's tons of members that are paying their membership off monthly, and they become free members to the site because of this affiliate program. Because people used to be scared to tell their friends, family, etc. of these sites. I think they're giving away their secrets. It's much more of a community and surrounding yourself with the right people. So if you want your other friends and family members to be in there, let them know. Use your affiliate link when you get it, and you get back 20% of whatever they sign up for. So if they sign up for the plan right now at $58, you get $5.80 times 2 because it's 20%. So you're getting that 20% every single month they stay signed up. You get 4 or 5 people signed up and you're now paying your membership off for free. Hoop, anything else you want to add? If someone has questions on the affiliate stuff, you can always hit me up directly. But anything else you want to add, Hoop, before we get into the rest of this stuff here?
The last thing on my list was the live stream with our guy DGen tonight. He's going live at 8 Eastern? I know he operates in the different time zone. I believe it's 8 Eastern. I want to say that he's going live tonight, and that will be a very exciting stream. I know he's a big fan of the PGA Championship, and I'm looking forward to that one tonight.
Yeah, you got to talk Lord's time zone. My boy Mayo had it all wrong today too. We couldn't get it together, so just got to make sure we're on top of that. But there's lots of stuff going on here. It could be in the future, Nick. I don't know what the copyrights are on that. I have one of those hoodies. I know you got the shirt. I seen you in the gym posting it there. We're all about it, but Dollar Bill's got him covered here. Shout out to our guy Degenerate75. Super excited for the stream with James tonight. I can't wait to see whatever video or concoction he comes up with. Him and the editor and the rest of the team usually working on that. Should be a good one for tonight. Rory on the divorce, Scotty off the baby, all these different things that are going on, all those narratives in the PGA streets, which we'll get to here in a minute. So anything else, Hoop, that you want to add before we get to it? I mean, we covered most of it, but a lot of stuff going on right now, and now's the time to join, get in, have some fun with us. There'll be a ton of giveaways for members tonight. Just got to be a member in that Discord, and you'll have access over $1,000 in giveaways. I'm sure we'll do quite a bit more than that, but we'll have to wait and see. That's where we're starting at.
Yeah, you're going to want to get in the Discord. I can promise you that. And we've already committed to a good chunk of money. Our members have committed to a good chunk of money that'll be given away. And I think I might be contributing myself. So you guys have knowing that I've been knowing. I have popped in the Discord, and they say the joke that Santa Hoop is here. Santa Hoop might be making an appearance again tonight. So another reason that you might want to get in that Discord.
Yeah, I want to say thank you to Russell, our guy Russell. He's been just crushing it. Won the Millie Maker last season, and he's giving away some cash. We're going to put that into a free roll where you have a chance to win it. We'll get all the breakdown and all that. Be the first 200 people to join it because that's the max for the After Effect one. So any of those, if there's enough, we may do a second one. We'll see how quickly the first one loads, but the first 200 to get in on it will be later this evening. So lots of time if you're joining now, watching this later, whatever, it'll be later this evening for the PGA Championship. So shout out to Russell. And then also our guy, NYG fan, the man, Dwayne. Always appreciate him. He won the NBA 555 on the weekend for, I think, $30K. And he's throwing in $300 giveaways. Those will be at random tonight as well. So shout out to our guy, Dwayne. Already talked about Nick giving away the membership. So we'll look for another one. But then there'll be a couple more after that we have throughout that we give away some stuff. And then we talked about already how you can win the annual hoop. I think we got it done here, man. It's 18 minutes in. So we kept it under. If it is lagging on you guys, you have to refresh. Just check the internet. On my side, I can still see Hoop really well. I apologize if there is any issues out there, but maybe just refresh and hop back in. Hoop, let's get into this PGA Championship, man. It's going to be a good one. We'll probably talk more stuff throughout SHIPIT Nation anyway as we celebrate our 1-year anniversary. But Scotty Scheffler, Rory, Rahm, Brooks Koepka, there's tons of big names here at the top. What's your first grand scheme overview? We had our first look on Monday. Where have you sort of come around to, and what's your first overall thoughts heading into this PGA Championship?
Yeah, so I mean, the one thing is obviously you look at the top and you see Scotty and you see Rory, and it was a big talking point on our Monday show, and I think it's very important talking point still here on Wednesday afternoon. And we looked at the price tags on Monday without building any lineups, and what do you do with Scotty? What do you do with Rory? It's 13-2 for Scotty, 12K for Rory. Rory coming off a couple wins. Scotty obviously on an unreal heater. We kind of threw out the number like 50% of lineups would likely start with these guys. And it's pretty much what the ownership is kind of showing. So a lot of teams are going to be starting with one of these two. And, as I've started to build some teams here, I usually don't start till Wednesday morning looking at the teams and some builds and things like that. It's pretty easy to play these guys. There's a lot of viable guys in the 6K range. There's a lot of viable guys in the low sevens, and there's viable 5K guys as well. If you plug in Scotty Scheffler, you're left with basically 7,400 per spot. There's a plethora of guys that you can play. You can play Scotty and Rory with another spend and still have a pretty comfortable lineup. So, ownership is showing, anywhere between 20 to 30% on both those guys. Could see it come up a little bit just because how easy it is to build these teams. And I always say a lot of people at these majors or loaded field events start to sell themselves on mid-tier builds, but I just don't think that's going to be the case this week. Like, there's a lot of question marks in the 9K range. There's a lot of question marks in the 8K range as well. 8K range is going pretty overlooked with the exception of a couple guys. We'll talk about it, but man, I just think a lot of teams start up top and a lot of people go with the more stars and scrubsy type approach this week, just because of how easy it is and the comfortability of some of those guys in the 6K and even the upper 5K range that we'll talk about when we get through it all.
Yeah, way too easy to get to this week, right? You spent some time on it. I spent some time on it, but the more you look at it, the more you see just how easy it is to start your lineup with one of those guys. And it's because the 5K range exists. Like, I've talked about it all week, others that don't watch certain shows that I'm on or whatever it might be. But when we didn't have the 5K range, it made a little bit more sense where you could see some of those balance builds come through, because you're not necessarily going to need Scotty. But if Scotty's in the mix, and as he has been at pretty much every single event, if he's not winning it, coming in second, there's going to be versions of lineups that work with him. So you're almost going to need it at that point. It's just the way it works. So the obvious that he's up there, but the main factor is we have so many guys in the 6K. And then on top of that, the upper 5K range still has a ton of guys that could usually be in the upper 6K range. So to me, it's just too easy to build with them, and that makes perfect sense. So might be a little too cute going completely off of it, but I can see in some tournaments and some single entries and things, I'll have a specific section in the slate plan over at the site talking about what those Scotty and Rory fade lineups look like. But I don't think the $1,200 difference ended up making a big difference on Scotty to Rory. It looks to me like those two will come in at least two of the top three owned, if not the top two, just because even the value guys, you can't quite fully pump them anymore because they're still getting spread out. There's 4 or 5 7K guys that people like. There's 3 or 4 6K guys that people like. So it is what it is, just the way it's going to shake out. But I definitely think that's something. So we'll talk about that more when we get to it. But the balance builds that you mentioned will definitely be a little bit different. And I'll give a little bit of thoughts on it here when we get to that range. Anybody else? So first off, Scotty versus Rory. I think you've leaned heavily Scotty since Monday. Are you sticking with that? Does the narrative stuff is all out there now, but the Rory divorce, the Scotty baby, the Scotty not having his caddy on Saturday, all these other factors. Is there anything that matters with that? And then talk to us a little about the Brooks, Oberg, Morikawa, Koepka, Rahms, those guys that you're looking at in that 10K range that others aren't really going to as much.
So obviously, love Scotty. We've been playing him for a while. I mean, the results are, just undeniable how good this guy's been. And, I see no reason to not go back to him. Like, what are people going to talk themselves off of him just because he just had a baby? Like, no, I mean, this guy is just so damn good. You really can't make this shit up with the painters. Like, I have a relatively big house, and literally the dude just posted the ladder right next to my office window. Right next to my office window. I mean, it's just how this shit works. So we're just going to have to deal with a little bit of pounding. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not. I mean, it's just literally can't make this shit up. I mean, I'm going to tilt my camera here. At some
in the life of Hoopster, a relatively large house with a little bit of pounding. There you go.
Oh, I'm gonna see if I can tilt my camera and show you guys like how close this guy literally just put his ladder. So anyhow, it's super annoying. Rory, again, people are going to talk about the divorce and, he's going to be distracted because of the divorce. Obviously, this isn't something he just thought about Monday, like, I'm going to divorce my wife. This has been hanging over his head for at least months now, I'd assume. And he just went out and won and dusted the field last week. I mean, if anything, this would be a sigh of relief that, okay, now finally I filed the paperwork. The process starts. I don't have to worry about this anymore. So I'm not letting that dictate anything in terms of my ownership on Rory. Actually, I might like him a little bit more after filing, to be honest with you. But at 12K, he's going to get a lot of ownership. I mean, if you start with him, you got 7,600, a lot of different ways to go when you go with Rory at that 12K flat price tag. Now, after him, that's where things get a little bit interesting. There's no way Jon Rahm gets ownership. I don't know what it's projected around the industry. It's going to be low. It's going to be lower than we've probably ever seen on John Rahm. Clearly regrets some of the live stuff, made some weird comments, played like shit at the Masters. If you're looking for ultimate leverage, like it's John Rahm. And, whether I get there or not, I haven't decided yet at this point, but 11-4, he has to be low. Xander always gets a little bit. He'll get some. People love Brooks. There was a comment just in there. All right, if I skip Scheffler and Rory, should I start with Brooks? Well, that's what everyone's probably going to be looking to do if they skip Scheffler and Rory. It's going to be a guy like Brooks that they go to. He plays good at the PGA Championship. The course fits him well. In the majors, he's played well. So a lot of people are going to go to Brooks. He's looking to get a decent bit of ownership. I think with the knee stuff, the price tag on Ludwig, I think he has a chance to have lower ownership than the industry is projecting, just because there hasn't been many comments or quotes about the knee. I know I did see something today where he said it's a non-factor, totally fine, precautionary thing. But when people are looking for reasons to get off guys up here, that might just be enough to bring his ownership down a little bit. And if he's anywhere close to 100%, like this guy's the real deal. And then Morikawa and Cantlay just can't get any ownership in my eyes up here. So, Scheffler's getting it. Rory's getting it. Xander's getting it. Brooks getting it. I think the rest have a chance to go, pretty low owned in this 10K and above range.
Yeah, I think a couple notes you said. One is like people will go to Brooks. It's just the way it happens. And usually it's not as much of the case, but when people are off, Rahm for sure. The Oberg thing I mentioned in the slate plan, I'll talk about it here. It's no problem just to say it, but like it looks more like people decided that because of the knee thing, they'll keep him in check. I'm not saying he's going to be low owned. I think he still gets ownership by the time all things are said and done, but there was a chance if he wasn't coming in with a noted knee injury and coming off of a good result and all these other things in the second at the Masters, he could have got out of control. He could have got to 25% at 10-5 when he's 1,500 less than than Rory, and much less than Scotty. So at least that keeps him in check a little. And I will say too, even you just sort of nicely put it under the rug, and I think it's true, but it's the same. This week feels different. We always say, of course, Xander will get ownership because people love him. It is interesting to see that it almost feels like Brooks, Ludwig, Rory, Scheffler are almost keeping him in check. Like we could see Xander, and then Xander sucks. Did you see what happened last Sunday? He can never close. He's once the big lights hit, he can't do it. Well, it's 10-9 here. A PGA Championship would be a good spot for him to get his first major and get started. So I actually do have interest in Xander here still at 10-9. He's played well in the PGA Championships. He's played well at the US Opens. He's played well in general. 2nd, 8th, 5th, 4 of his last 6 results. The guy just hasn't closed. And Mayo and I were talking earlier today about win luck. It's no different than guys like Taylor Gooch and Neiman on LIV. It's no different than Scotty right now. Remember last year? Scotty couldn't win a tournament. I shouldn't say it like this. People come at me right away. There was like 4 or 5 tournaments where you, me, others all said he should have won that one too, though. So while he won a bunch, he didn't win like this clip he's been on lately. And even this one, a 5-footer gave Steven Yeager his first win. Like that could have been another one. So the point is sometimes it turns, and Xander's been putting himself in that position. 2nd, 5th, and 2nd in 3 of his last 6 to be exact. Like that is a guy that can still put himself there. And for once, just maybe, you could see with Rahm getting nothing, people still liking Brooks. I think people still come around on Oberg, all of that. I think there is a chance you still see Xander kept in check here at a 12 to 15%. And with that, I'm not worried if he's 16 or 17. My point more so being, I think there is a possibility for a bit of a squeeze there. Maybe I'm asking too much, but I definitely don't hate it. Morikawa,
I think you're right. I do think you're right. I wouldn't be surprised if we, see, 10 maybe on the low end. I mean, I don't think he gets to 10, but I guess it's possible, like 10 to 13 range on Xander, I think is very realistic. Now that we kind of talked through this a little bit and looking at some of these builds, again, people are playing Scotty. People are playing Rory. People are playing Brooks. And people are going to play balanced builds and things like that. So I really think you're right about the Xander thing. Like low 10s, like 10 to 13 is very realistic for Xander.
And for me to be clear, too, I mentioned this point earlier today, but not everyone catches it all, so I'll go to it again because I think it's a really good strategy piece, especially for major weeks, and that's what we're all about is process and trying to figure it out, is that this is the thing. I also like Xander. I think he's playing good golf. He's played well in majors. He's a high-caliber player. People are making fun of him because he can't win or hasn't in the last X amount of time. It's same thing, though. I do still like him. So I'm not going to be concerned if it ends up being 12 or 16. I'm putting him in because I like him. It's the setup where people all too often are saying, well, yeah, but Rahm is going to be 4 or 5% less owned at 8 or 9%. Okay, but do you like Rahm, or are you just doing it because of that? It's like you still have to like what you're playing, and trying to pick and choose your spots based on 4% this way and 4% that way as you go up and down a board. That's not the whole game, and that's not how it's played. We do have a section where we know ownership is important and how you use it. We talk fully about that in the course over on the site, which comes free with any member that signs up. But just to note, it's like we posted, is ownership overrated? What we're talking about is more things like what I just mentioned, where too many people go, oh yeah, but he's going to be 17%. So what? What does that mean? You have 5 other spots where you got to figure it out. 17%. If you like that play, you can still play them. So I think that's another thing to keep in mind.
Yeah.
And then last,
just to touch on the ownership thing real quick, I just wanted to add one final point, not one final point, but one additional point to that is when we're looking at the ownership this week, there's only a few guys that have the chance to get like 18% and above. You're looking at like 3 to 4 guys that even have the chance. We know Scotty's going to likely be there. You know, Rory's going to likely be there. Then there's maybe like a couple other guys. Brooks has a chance to push it. But man, everything else is like low teens and below. So you really don't need to worry about it all that much this week when just looking at the entire field and what we're seeing for the ownership.
Man, I got a couple of people just messaging me about the weather. Just a note on that. Like I'll let our guy Degenerate75 handle that tonight. You guys got to come back, tune in for that. It's always a great stream, but he'll handle that side of things and let you guys know what's going on. It's also going to be in our Discord over on the Stone on the site. So we'll have all that covered for you guys, but trying to angle for that and looking after it with the way the weather's been changing this week, important and something you want to keep an eye on. But Degenerate75 will cover that. Shout out to our guy James again tonight, 7 p.m. in the Lord's time zone. So you guys can calculate that one out and figure it out, but it'll be there for you guys to check it out there. Xander, somebody else said, I like Jared's comment here. People have to understand that Xander dusted the field. Rory just had a beyond elite back nine to dust him. That is a good point, a way to look at it, right? Where you're setting it up. So definitely don't hate that comment. And the last guy I was going to say is Morikawa. I'm not sure if he's turned a corner or what, but obviously a former PGA Championship winner. He's been pretty good at these things. And 16th, 9th, and 3rd in 3 of the last 4. He was in the mix at the Masters till down the stretch. I mean, realistically, I got no problem going to a guy like him either. I do like the other guys I mentioned more, but we are getting down the board in pricing now. Like if you're starting a lineup at Brooks, if you want to go Morikawa instead for $600 less, I'm fine with that. Like I got no problem with it. It's just obviously Brooks's history and 3 trophies on the shelf at this major versus Morikawa's 1, but still, I could definitely get there as well. Anybody else in that 10K range you want to talk about? If not, take us into this 9K range, Hoop.
Yeah, no, I'm good in the 10s. I think it's a good conversation there, covering the prices, the guys, their history, the ownership, everything there. I think we hit on
this one. I'll just say it as a guy that, again, not a golfer, but as a guy that's had knee surgeries and stuff with my health with knees, I wear a knee brace sometimes just as a precautionary. Like it means nothing. Sometimes just like I'm just thinking about it. It's, whatever. So I don't think that's going to affect Oberg at all. He said it's not. And anyone who's watched him this week there has said he's been striping it. So again, practice reports, who gives a shit? It's Allen Iverson. We're talking about practice, not a game, but we saw what he does in a game too. Absolutely dominated at the Masters. So we know what he is. I just think he's fine either way. The nice part about Oberg is his ownership is not going to be 25% plus like it easily could have been.
Yeah.
So we are getting him at a bit of a discounted rate, even though he's coming with some ownership. That sort of is at least keeping it in check a little bit. Go ahead, Hoop. 9K range.
Yeah, if he plays last week and has a top 15 finish, you're looking at probably 25%. He would probably have the chance to be one of the higher owned guys on the slate. Probably 20. I'd say 2022. He could have been number 2 behind Scotty. He withdrew and claims that there's no knee issue, and now we're looking at probably 10% or so. So you definitely can get some good leverage on him. 9K range. With Cam Smith, I think you're either like a Cam Smith person or not, and I just really don't play him all that much. So at 9.8, it's an easy fade for me. Home at 9.7, starting to round into some form. 3rd at the Masters, had the 8th at the Wells Fargo last week. Looks solid. Bryson, We were all over him at the Masters. It worked out well. Obviously, he didn't win the event, but he was on the winning GPP lineups, I believe. 9,600. You're getting a big price increase here, but man, you're talking a long course, and it seems like this could set up well for him. I think he's a really good GPP target this week. The keeper cut, we're going to bring back the keeper cut in the 9K range. It's going to be Wyndham Clark, a guy I can't really decide on. The reason I want to play him is because when he's in contention, he has the chance to win events, and he's up there on the leaderboard. But man, I don't know. I'm kind of torn on him. Neiman seems like a solid option. JT, you got the home course narrative. Hovland, just going to continue to be out on Hovland. I just have not seen enough out of him. He just needs he needs to improve on so many parts of his game to get it right. And, I'll just take a wait and see approach on him. Zalatoris has not looked good. Actually, he's looked pretty damn bad. 9,100. I'll pass on him. And then Cam Young at 9K flat. I'll take some flyers on him at a course where length is important. He's another guy, though, has had some struggles recently. It's been a very up and down year for him. Last year, he was consistently in contention. This year, a little bit all over the place, but I'm going to keep taking some chances on Cam Young. And really, again, another range where I don't think anything here is going to be overly popular. Outside of the guys we talked about in the 10K range, you're looking at, everyone probably 15% and below. So interesting range. Wyndham Clark's one I'm still kind of deciding on.
Saw this too, Cody. A lot of people posted about this, that Hovland's really messing around and experimenting with a bunch of stuff.
I'm sure. Yeah.
That's it matters to me till it doesn't. So I think in tournaments, if you want to go there, I'm fine. But I prefer the other guys. So some of the guys who mentioned for sure, Max Homa, the start of the season, I predicted him to win the PGA Championship. I got him at 46-1 because I thought with the California swing and just everything else he does, and now he's shown up at, I think it's the Open, he was top 10, and now the third at the Masters. So I feel like he's got a little bit more of that mentality that's required for these majors, and sort of what it is, especially at a PGA Championship, seems like it could set up perfectly for him because it's going to just be get it out there, ball striking on the way in, and can make some big putts. And I think a lot of the events over the last little while and stuff that have helped him more is, getting to that Ryder Cup, being involved there and making some stuff happen. The majors that he started to show up in now, the other big wins that he got, just keeping his game together. So I think a lot of that stuff has been solid, and he's a guy that's been able to do great, like 8th, 3rd, 25th, 8th, some of his last events. So definitely like Max Homa. Bryson, fair price, 9,600. I think he's interesting. I'm kind of with you on this keeper cut, so I might have to actually really fully tally every single one on this Clark because I'm not sure, but I do like Neiman. I could play some Thomas, and then I guess Zal is the perfect fit, but he has not been doing anything lately, so large field only, not someone I feel a lot of safety behind. Feel much better about just getting different with roster construction on some of those more popular guys that I like, even if they do have a little bit more ownership than I do try to get away from that stuff. But in large fields, the milli makers, the $5 huge fields, all that stuff, I think you could take on a little bit more risk, and I got no problem with it. What are we seeing here for Clark? What are you thinking? Keep.
Looks pretty close.
Keep.
I'll cut the keep. I'll count the keeps. You count the cuts real quick.
He's the keep. I looked at it. There's not many.
All right.
Yeah. I think someone said it here. I'll try and find it, but where did it say? Somebody said keep Clark. Here, our guy Rin was back at high ceiling. You know what you're getting. I think, realistically, Hoop, now, we'll talk more on this when we get to some of these other guys, but this is interesting. Clark, 47th, 3rd, miscut, 31st, second. He's the guy. He's like a more expensive of what we used to talk about with guys like Thigala, yeah. These other guys that we would take risks on, just knowing. Even Homa used to be this, where he was more boomer bust. And mind you, Homa, 8th, 55th, 3rd, 64th, 8th.
Yeah.
He's been the same way. So Homa.
Yeah, I think we got to play Wyndham. I think we do have to play Wyndham.
Yeah, I think Wyndham makes the pool. It makes a lot of sense based off of that. You just know what you're getting. Maybe it's like Homa and Clark in some of those multiple 9K builds, but also the fact that they're very similar dudes and you're kind of getting one or the other could be a thing that you look at as well. I don't typically do that, but I do just think that's kind of interesting from that perspective to see it. You really are getting boom or bust with those guys. Anybody else in the 9K range you want to talk about? If not, take us into this 8K range, going what looks like extremely overlooked this week, just because, man, even a guy like I thought at the start of the week, we would see a super high owned Hatton or Fleetwood. they're looking to be 12 to 15% just because the range does not fit into these builds. When you see so many people using Scotty, Rory, Brooks Koepka, Ludwig, all those guys that we talked about, it's just hard to get to this range. So give us your thoughts on this 8K.
Yeah, it is interesting because in these majors loaded field events, this is a range that's typically the most popular, the 8Ks, because you can start with a stud and come down and hit multiple 8K guys. You can just live in this range and hit 4 8K guys and go super balanced. And a lot of people like doing that. You see those sort of roster constructions, but this week that's just not going to be the case because there's so many question marks here. Right at the top with Fitzpatrick, his game's been all over the place. Spieth, you have the wrist injury thing, and his game has been all over the place. Fleetwood's a guy that we kind of thought, or I kind of thought, would get a good chunk of ownership, and it's not looking like it. And I think that makes him a really good play. I mean, I think it makes Fleetwood a really strong play coming in. I thought he would be a guy that would probably be around 18, 19, 20%. It's not looking like that's going to be the case. So, definitely sign me up. You got the big question mark with Matsuyama. He withdrew last week. Sam Burns, we talked about him on the Monday show, and I think my thoughts on Monday remain pretty true. He's a guy that runs hot and cold. When he's off his game, he's off his game. And we saw it recently. The Players, 45th, missed the cut at the Valspar, missed the cut at the Masters, 44th at the RBC. Well, he pops up with a 13th last week, a T13 at the Wells Fargo signature event, loaded field. Is this the beginning of a little run for him? You had the baby, maybe a fresh start out here. I'm interested in seeing if this is the start of a run. So at 8,500, I am interested in Burns. Lowry has not been playing well. Tony Finau has been a disaster. Hatton, I think, is a solid option at 82. But again, playing on live, coming over here, what sort of Hatton are you going to get? He's a very volatile player, so I don't think he's a slam dunk play. But at 82, I'm interested. Thigala, typically a guy that just naturally gets a lot of ownership. And again, not the case this week. So Thigala at 81, you know what you're getting. The results are volatile, like we talked about. His range of outcomes is all over the place, like from winning to missing the cut and finishing dead last. 8,100, lower ownership, I will be interested. Definitely out on Patrick Reed. And then Dustin Johnson at 8K, I think is somewhat interesting. I mean, he looked terrible at the Masters. I mean, he had to be close to dead last. He shot 78, 79. He was 13 over, so he had to be way down at the bottom. But the course sets up well for him. He's 8K. I mean, cheaper, lower than the average roster price on DraftKings, coming in at low ownership. I'll have a little DJ. But in terms of the keeper cut, I had Burns just because I was kind of going back and forth, but I'm going to play Burns. So no real keeper cut in this range. I feel pretty solid about the guys I'm going to be on and off here.
I'm going to put Hatton up, see where people's thoughts are, because I think that, like a thought process of like Hatton versus Thigala, for example. So maybe that's what I'm going to put up. Hatton or Thigala.
Yeah, the 1v1. Hatton. Oh, geez.
Forget the keeper. If you wrote it already, it's fine. But give us your pick. Hatton or Thigala. Just curious if you were picking one of those two. Again, it's not about the picks, but just in this scenario, I am curious to see what people would think. I think it was mentioned up here. I think a huge reason 8K is a lot of question marks, and the 10K guys are all good form running hot. What I will say that stands out to me a little bit is this 8K range has a bunch of ceiling in it. Like these guys can, if Fitzpatrick is top 5 this week, it would not surprise me. If Spieth finds a way to make it a run at a Grand Slam, even though that's a funny narrative because it's what I say. If your first, if it doesn't happen, what is the saying? Like if at first you don't succeed, try again. It's 8th try or 9th try. Like, you know what I mean? He's got to keep after it. So it's always going to be a narrative until he gets it. But Spieth, Fleetwood, Decky, Burns, all these guys, even Hatton was just in the mix at the Masters and has been in the mix at Live. Sahith, back to his ways, right? 52nd miscut, 2nd, 45th, 28th, 9th, and 6th. Like you're getting these boom bust guys, but there's a lot of ceiling in here versus when we do get to the 7s, you're going to see from the results, the most popular guys, while they've had big wins or have some ceiling, they're much more of floor guys. They're like the make the cut, get you the top 30. And these guys are the guys that can really pop off and take it down and not surprise you. And the PGA Championship is a major where we can see these types of guys get the job done. So let's go back here and look at it quick. I mentioned a lot of the guys already, but man, Hatton was already a keep, so those almost count as Hatton votes.
Yeah, it looks like Hatton was the option. Yeah, the banging's not going to stop. It's literally right here outside the windows, but it does look like Hatton.
Bang it out. Nice. Answer the door. This guy said, like, come on, man. Michael's our man, Michael W. But it looks like Hatton's the man there. People do definitely like him. So I guess the Masters, his last two results are 13th and 15th at the PGA Championship. Sort of find your way around, just fairways, greens. Doesn't really have the mental game you would think that you would need. And that's why maybe it's at best a 10th place. That kind of gets me a little bit more where it's some of these guys that can ceiling out that are in this range that can actually get to the top. But, Hatton's a great player. Definitely could see it. So don't hate that thought process. Let's go into this upper 7K range with those thoughts attached to, Day coming off a fourth. I do kind of like your thought on Burns with that said. Sometimes you catch these guys when they're starting to pick it up and then you move from there and just take your shot on them. You're willing to invest based on that. But Day, what do we see? Sungjae showing some form. Benny Ann, I guess, would fit it. But after that, like Tom Kim, nothing better than an 18th in his last 8 events. Siwoo got a 6th back 7 events ago, but after that, it's all 18ths and up. And I like him, but I'll get to that in a second. Minwoo, a 2nd way back when, but a bunch of other stuff. 44th, 55th, missed cuts. Corey Connors had an 11th place at the team event, but his best was 13th last week. And some weeks before that, 35th, 44th, 41st. So these are cut makers, but I'm not sure as much as what we're going to see for the full upside out of them. So give me your thoughts on this upper 7K range. Looks to be extremely popular.
Yeah, very popular range. The banging has stopped. And just to clarify, it's a good question. Carpenter or painter, pretty loud for a painter. They're replacing some of the wood around the windowsills, and that is what is causing the banging. So yeah, I should have clarified that. It's beyond just painting. In terms of upper 7, we're looking at a lot of ownership up here, a lot of appealing guys. It opens up with Jason Day, who's coming off a solid performance. Although he chipped. We talked about it on Monday. He chipped in like every single time I turned on the telecast, he was chipping in from like the sand or off the fringe, or he must have had 5 or 6 chip-ins, I swear. But I don't mind him at 7,900. Your boy Sungjae, back-to-back solid performances, 7,900. Can you go to him? 12th at RBC, 4th at the Wells Fargo last week. Is he back?
And one in Korea in between those 2 weeks as well.
As well, yes. Benny An playing very, very well. Tom Kim, like you talked about, not so appealing. Minwoo Lee is a guy that people tend to like to play, but he's just in this range where there's so many guys. I just can't see him being the one that gets a big chunk of ownership. Siwoo Kim has been playing so steady, 16th, 13th, 18th, 30, 17, 6, and then 30 at the Arnold Palmer. Just very, very consistent for a guy that's priced at $7,700. He's going to be a guy that a lot of people come to. Taylor Gooch, I don't know what people do there. Corey Connors at 76, always a guy people like playing, including myself. Brian Harmon probably goes a little overlooked. And then you have Sepp Straka, another guy in this range, playing incredibly well, 16th, 5th, 8th. So this range to me is just all about these guys that have been playing really, really well. They could easily be a little more expensive, but I think multiple 7K guys will be a part of a lot of different roster constructions, a lot of different builds this week, because it's just such a comfortable range. It's an appealing price tag. And then there's just a lot of these guys here that have been playing really, really well. So despite what ownership says, I think these are the guys that when contest lock tomorrow, we could be like, oh, wow, like they were way higher owned than we kind of thought.
Yeah, one thing I will say, like this is another one, and maybe our guy Jason likes him, but give me Straka over all these guys. You're gonna see Sepp Chaka this week, and it's not crazy. It's 10 to 12% is what it looks like right now, but it's almost like the Brooks thing up top. We know Benny Ann, Connors, and Siwoo are the chalk. We know exactly who people are playing in this range this week. That's for sure the 3 biggest chalk guys in this range. But it's like Scotty and Rory up top. When someone says earlier, okay, then I'll just go to Brooks Koepka. You're not really moving that far off. So if you like him, go with him. And I know that maybe you do. People are liking that he's come 8th, 5th, 16th, did okay at the team event, 7th at last year's PGA Championship. I get it. I'm saying, but make sure you like him. Don't think you're getting some crazy discount moving off those other guys and you're just ignoring them because they're owned and he's not. He's still getting ownership versus the guys he's around. So probably would not be donkey chalk to our guy Degenerate 75 tonight. It's not going to be owned like that. No, but I'm still going to call him Sep Chaka just because I think, 10% is possible and there's going to be 1% owned guys around him. So that's just something you have to keep in mind. Yeah, you like him for majors, he says, so we'll see. But I mean, besides last year's PGA Championship, 68th, 78th, if you think he's a better golfer now, some of the other events, okay. But I guess people would give him credit for, what would it be? What was the last time we saw him here? I'm just trying to see if we go back down. Sep Straka. Did he come 16th?
He was at the Masters 16th. He was 5th at RBC and then 8th at Wells Fargo.
There it is. So, yeah, I don't think he's like the craziest play, but I'm not like super for or against. I'm just saying note that it's the bottom 7K range where you pick up the leverage here. So just keep that in mind. I mean, Sep Straka falls into that at 7,500 and above. I'm not saying these are better than him. I'm explaining that you got Fowler, Henley, Scott, Noren, Keegan Bradley, Steven Yeager, Dean Burmeister. I mean, Burmeister might get chalked, might get ownership compared to the guys around him as well. So just, note that. But there is a lot of guys in this lower 7K range. So some of the guys I could look at here, I put Scott, Henley, Noren, Yeager, those guys all into the pool. I think Keegan Bradley is interesting. Mayo and I talked about him today. Bet him first round leader 110-1 just to see if he gets off to a hot start. So I think the bottom 7K range is where you can make it happen. And yeah, again, you like him. Not coming at you. You like him, play him. It's saying that, again, concepts for people watching that think I move off of a 12% or a 14% owned guy to this guy, and then we see it every week. You're in the Discord. You're a founding family member. How many people come in the Discord every week and go, oh, shit, if I had known Sep was going to be 10% or get steamed to 11, I would have just played the guy I actually liked at 14. I'm just explaining that you don't want to fall into that and move off because of that. Play the guy you actually like. Don't act like he's some savior to the three guys above him just because of ownership. Play him because you like him. Let's keep it going here, Hoop. Anybody in this upper 6K range that stands out? I know you got some at the bottom, but upper 6K range, there's still some dudes here. Your boy Chris Kirky is up there as well. He's had a couple top 20s in his last two out. He's had a 5th and a 29th at the last two PGA championships. You like him?
Yeah, I mean, upper sixes definitely have some guys that I'm interested in. One guy, though, that I wanted to talk about a little bit more is Henley, a guy that's been playing pretty well, but the course does not necessarily set up super well for him. He's not long off the tee, but at 7,300, what are your full thoughts on Henley?
I think I'll say it with him. I'm interested, and the why is to your comment that others are making it all. I definitely think bombers are awesome this week. They make sense, but there will be guys that can knock it out there. Get some rollout. By the way, the comments today from the grounds, I know more rain's coming, but have said that it's already drying out quite a bit. So you're going to get that rollout. And then he can be a ball striker. He can just start making putts and tilt your face off when you see Henley makes 4 birdies in a row with a couple of 30-footers in there. So he can tilt your face off the other way too when he's missing those and you need him. But just to note, guys like him, I think can still be clearly in the mix. We've seen it plenty of times. So I have no problem with it. So I think it's fine. And now we're getting down to a price point where it doesn't really matter as much. Like these guys, a 30th place for these guys feels a lot nicer than when you see a guy like Hideki top 5 and you instead played a guy like, I don't know, like Siwoo or Sungjae or something that doesn't get there for you for just $500-600 less, right? Where you should get your 30th out of them. You can pick it up down here just as easy.
Yeah, I like that call. And the upper sixes, yeah, I'm going to be in on Kirk at 6,900. I think having a pretty good season, cheap price tag for him. Finally getting off my guy Pavon. I mean, it was a good run. He had that stretch earlier on in the year where it was just really, really solid finishes. He's kind of fallen off a little bit. I can definitely be off of him at 6,800. But Seabez, I believe we talked about him Monday. It's a cheap price tag for a guy that's playing really, really well. And to me, he's almost like a Russell Henley type player. We're not super long off the tee, but playing pretty well. $700 cheaper than a guy like Henley at 66. And you look at the recent results dating back to the players, 13, 9, 25, 28, 3, 16. I mean, he's been phenomenal And at 6,600, I think I definitely want to take some chances on him. Cameron Davis, slight interest in him. Keith Mitchell's a name that, looks like he could be a little more expensive than he is at 66. And the nice thing with a guy like Mitchell, he can get hot, and he just kind of pops up and does well. So I like him at 66. Kitayama at 65, I think, is a guy that I'm interested in. So there's guys up here, but I will say, like, once you get out of that upper, a lot of people are going to look to that upper 7K range, right? They want to be in that upper 7K range as much as possible. There is a substantial drop off. I didn't talk a lot about the lower sevens, but when you get a big difference between lower sevens and upper sevens, and then you come down to the 6K range, it's another pretty substantial drop off. But again, if you're playing a lot of Scotty, if you're playing a lot of Rory, you just have to embrace the risks with some of these guys. So like Kirk, Seabez, Cameron Davis, Mitchell, Kitayama are the ones that I'm most interested here in the upper sixes.
Yeah, Chris Kirk for sure up at the top there. I think it's interesting just because like the 16th at the Masters even is no different than back to my Sepp Straka rant where, yeah, Straka's got a couple others in between, but after that, Chris Kirk had a 10th. He's got a 5th and a 29th at the PGA Championships the last couple of years. I mean, these guys can do the same thing some of these 7K guys can do. So Kirk will be one that stood out to me. I'll probably play a little old two gloves. Two gloves is very boomer bust. 4th, miscut, 23rd, 58th, 7th, miscut, but then a 23rd and 19th. Seabez, who you mentioned, Keith Mitchell. These guys can pop. I don't like Kitayama stands out to a lot of people this week, and he's just been a nonstop 35th place. That will do, but I worry that some of these other guys have, bigger ceilings around him for as of late. We know that he won the API and broke out and had that stuff happen, but I'm saying like just in general, people are probably looking more at like his 4th last year, and then some of these top 35s when you still have other guys around him that have had ceiling results mixed in. So I think that's more notable. McCarthy, 6th and a 2nd. He was, I think, 45th at the Masters, not going to cut it, but just to note it, there's guys like that here. Jake Knapp, 6,300. You know what you're getting with him. Extremely boomer bust, but he would fit from that perspective. At the bottom, Taylor Moore, my guy Lucas Glover, who I like to talk about, Taylor Pendrith, right down there at 6K. So there's a lot of guys here that you can play. And this just goes back to the point of those Scheffler and Rory lineups. It's just not going to have, there's just so many versions that you can build. And they're going to be in so many lineups that, there's going to be combinations of these guys down here. It's going to be hard to avoid. You're going to have to hope for the best and sort of plug your nose and pray type of thing when it comes to the fade Scotty and fade Rory lineups, because you're going to be hoping that not only do they not end up near the top, but you're going to be hoping that a lot of these guys bust so that there can't be versions of them that work on top of it. So you're going to want those 6-6 made cut lineups where there's other guys in the mix down the stretch. So it'll happen. It can happen. But just to note it, there's a lot of guys in the 6K range. Anybody else here you want to mention that I didn't?
Yeah, just coming down a little bit. Denny McCarthy at 63, interested there. Taylor Moore at 62. Glover. Pendrith is definitely a name. Like, obviously had the win. A lot of people got off him last week, and then follows it up with a 10th at the Wells Fargo in a loaded field, obviously a signature event. So I think he's also interesting at 6K. So those are, some of the guys that I'm looking at in the lower sixes.
Yeah, and Pendrith too, like people noted, even off the win to grab that 10th in the signature event, like just talk about
that's big. Yeah. I mean, because someone like him, it's like you think it's a fluke when they come out and win, and you're able to go and back it up in a big boy field. I mean, that says something to me.
Yeah. I mean, even before he was getting some form going, he had the 11th, then he went to the team event, and it's a team event, so you can write it off, but he was still in the mix there. Then he goes out and gets the win. Then he backs it up with the 10th. So, I mean, even last year's PGA Championship, if you want to say he wasn't the same player or whatever, still a 29th. I think it's a guy that you could see come in here and do something. So he's interesting. There's some other guys you could say if they caught a little bit of form, but just in general, that's the range. Like the 6K range does have some dudes, and there is some boom bust guys too that you can take on. Let's go to this 5K range. I think a really interesting build hoop this week would be 2 5K guys, 3 8K guys, and one of like Scotty or Rory, something along those lines where you don't worry about the 6s and the 7s. You hope the 7s bust for the 8s. You hope the 5s come through and do the same as the 6s, and you can get away with things that way. I'll talk about one tip I have in a minute for a guy that I see the chat mentioning already, but give me your thoughts on this 5K range. Let's end it with that.
Yeah, it'll certainly be a different sort of build. I mean, we know a lot of people are going into that upper 7 range with their teams. We know a lot of people are trying to avoid the 8K range. So that sort of build is definitely going to be different when you look at roster construction in this upper 5K range or 5K in general. I mean, a lot of the dudes in the lower 5Ks are just unplayable. So the guys in the 5K that kind of stand out to me, obviously Maverick McNeely at 5,900. He'll be a play for me. Mackenzie Hughes, we talked a lot about on Monday, just playing incredible golf. I kind of have the ongoing joke of who's the most disrespectful price tag in the field or on the slate. And for me, it's Mackenzie Hughes at 5,800. I think it's just he's been playing too well. He could easily be in the 6s. Coming down a little bit, you got this Soderberg guy at 5,700. Been playing really well on the World Tour, third, second in his last 3. Now, does that translate to the PGA Championship? Who knows? Most likely not, but at 5,700, I'll take my chances and mix them in a little bit. Ben Griffin, moderately interested in. Mark Hubbard at 56. I think it's a really good price tag on a guy that's been playing very, very solid golf. I mean, again, solid golf for Hubbard is different than solid golf for Max Homa. Like the expectations are different, but Hubbard's made every single cut this year. He's mixed in some 25th place finishes, some 31st to 36. He's been solid, and he's played some tougher events and held his own. So I am interested in him. Putnam, maybe a little bit of Lee Hodges. And then that's probably it. Like I said, the lower 5K range, it's a lot of, instant X-out guys. Like I'm definitely not playing them.
Yeah, the upper 5s is definitely guys that you would usually find in that $6,500 range if it ended at 6K. Like they would not be bad enough to put at the stone minimum price. They may even be 67, 68, 7,100 for some of these guys. So that's kind of the key here that I think you could look at it. But, someone said it right here. There's no way I'm touching the 5Ks. And I liked all the guys, SWH, that you had up above. You listed a little run there of guys you were kind of liking in the 6K range. I don't think many of these guys I'm about to mention are that much different. Like Mac Hughes, 3rd, 14th, 6th, 3 of his last 5. He looks fine. Go down to some of these other guys here. Ben Griffin, 16th, 13th, 14th, 39th, 36th, 17th. These are, 5 of his last 6. Different fields in some cases, sure. But again, you're talking $5,700. So that would be something. Overseas, people are looking at Soderberg. I see that, some of these guys. But there was another one down here too. Putnam. 29th, 18th, and 14th in 3 of his last 4, and he's got an 8th before that. Like he's definitely a guy that can pop in some of these fields. Your boy Mark Hubbard, who you just mentioned, showing up at some of these events at that price point, I think it's fine. Luke List could pop. Like this is one here that I want to talk about quick, as people have mentioned it. No, not playing this guy because of what he's done on the Korn Ferry Tour. Awesome for him. Bet him a top 40. Like you're never going to commit to him. I know you're not going to play him in all your lineups or something where you actually have action on this guy. He's going to be less than 1% owned. He could win the event, and not sure you'll have it right because you probably have him in 1 to 5 to 6, whatever lineups, and you just don't have the other 5 pieces right, and nobody else even has him to worry about. So it becomes almost like the Nick Dunlap situation or the Peter Malnati wins of this season where it shows up and then almost isn't needed. Malnati, I believe, was. He was in a 5 of 6. Almost wasn't needed. I don't care about the truth that, but he was, or the Vin Diesel inch by a mile. It doesn't matter. My point more so being that you're just wasting lineups usually playing these guys, hoping for lightning in a bottle that you probably still get wrong everywhere else. So just stop doing it and cut your player pool down and get serious about it. So that would be my note. Or if you really like him, never talk you off it, take a real stand. Play him in 10 or 20 and get multiple combinations around him so that if he does his thing, you got more options to get there with him. Who else down here? Anybody else? Just trying to see if I'm forgetting anybody, Hoop. I don't think too much else down here excites me. So, yeah, I also don't get the Doug Gim one. I saw a few people mention him. I know people were asking in our Discord, like, for him. Why do people want Doug Gim? Maybe tell me in the chat. And I was waiting to see if he'd pop up. Our guy playing for Trazzy, man. EVR last week, big favorite, did not get the job done at the, what's it called? The Myrtle Beach Classic. It was Chris Gotterup who got the job done. Maybe you could go to him, but EVR did come in 4th. So he was still in the mix, playing some good golf. There was a definite Onions video out this week. It's about 7 minutes long. I posted in our Discord. It's on, I believe, the PGA Championship channel, and you can go check it out there on X on their at there. But really, just you could play him here. He's cheap. It's a stronger, bigger field. This is where I would play him if you fit the EVR. Whatchamacallit, the flow chart. It would fit. And then this is not a reason to play a guy. Like, play your dudes, I guess would be the answer. Yeah, that's fine. But, Mayo seemed to be interested too. Yeah, like, I don't know. I just never get to these guys, and that's the case. And we will not be talking about this guy ever. I don't care about that guy. You know this. So anybody else, Hoop, that you want to talk about down here, just out of curiosity?
No, I mean, it drops off super quick, like I said, and it's a lot of guys that are just instant X outs in terms of the player pool. I don't get the Gim thing like you talked about, and then the Whiting, or what is the dude's name? Whiting?
Yeah.
Whatever. Whiting. I mean, prove it on a regular PGA Tour event before I'm going to consider you. Not at the PGA Championship. I can't do that. But the Griffin one is interesting. Griffin's been playing really well, 5,700. Guy in the past that competed in some bigger field events. I think Griffin's could be a key guy down here for me.
Interesting. What about him or Mackenzie Hughes?
Well, more ownership's definitely going to Mackenzie Hughes. I mean, between the two, and if anyone in the upper, I don't think anyone's going to be overwhelmingly popular, but if anyone gets the ownership, it's probably Mackenzie Hughes because of how well he played. So if you're looking to get different, I think any sort of pivot down here is pretty substantial leverage.
All right, I'm putting one in for the chat. Let's do this. One to round it out, and then we'll kick it back, do some other stuff again. We knew it would go a little bit longer today, but that's fine. Obviously, wanted to cover as much as possible, celebrate it with you guys. We still got some winners to pick, so we'll be picking some more membership winners, let you know how you can win the annual membership again. But let's do this last 2v2 for the chat. Let me put this one in right here. This is the big dog right here. The Hubbard and Hatton is 1, and so it's 1 versus 2. Put it up. If you got a 1 for Hubbard and Hatton, a 2 for Griffin and Thigala, we will be counting these up. Believe in everything happens for a reason. So we'll be counting these ones up, and we'll get the answer to it. Hoop, we need another winner for a monthly all access. And I might have one. Do you want to go back and look for one?
Yeah, I have one. I have 2 if you want to go that route, or I wrote down a couple.
I'm feeling one of them's the same guy. But I want to get Ryan Gile right back in the mix. So
yeah, I wrote him down. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this is just awesome stuff. Said already happy birthday. Here to wish us a happy birthday. Content talks about it. Best in the business. Was a member for a few months until daycare jacked up the rates. What we're all about. I mean, not jacking up rates, but being against that. Right? Everywhere is jacking up rates. No matter what you look at, there's a new price, a new extension, whatever it might be. We didn't jack our price up until day 366, and even then, we're jacking it up to $629 after the 10% discount on the $699 plan, while most are still charging $500 for one sport. So you will be back, and you will be back starting this week. Hit us up, info@shipitnation.com, screenshot this account, and we'll get you set up, man. Match it up, get you back into the Discord, and you'll be good to go. Hoop, you got another one. That rounds out the 3 from our guy, Nick, LSU Nick. Congrats. Thanks again for everything you do. But we need a couple more monthly winners. Do you have one?
Yeah, the other one was, I can't find the comment because, man, it's been a very active chat throughout the show, which we definitely always appreciate. But the comment was from earlier, and it was our guy, Takedown78. He's been very active in the chat. I was
thinking of him too, so I'm glad you picked him.
There we go. Yeah, he had a couple really good comments early on, so we're gonna get him. We're gonna get him in the mix over here at Ship It Nation.
So Takedown S78, hit us up, info@shipitnation.com. Very easy. Just got to screenshot your account. We'll get you set up there. Who else? Maybe if you can find one more, Hoop. We got one more monthly all access to give away. I'm going to pop this up just to make sure we cover the remaining, and then we'll be good to go and get out of here. But do you have one more winner?
I'm going to have to do a little research here. I'm going to do some digging. I had those 2 written down. You stole one, so I'm going to see if I can find another.
Okay, let me quickly round these things up too. Again, last chance, guys, to get in at the annual $509 price. Be able to get in with B-Day 15. You can use it on the 6 month if you want a bit of a break savings there. If you want $58 a month versus $42 down here, you could do the monthly. And then if you want PGA only, you simply click those options. 33 is around $1 a day, or 254 is around $5 per event. I'm going to add these things up quick. We got 2, 2. All the ones are really racking up.
Yeah, it looks like 1. People are in on the 1.
And 1 is kind of what I had and kind of what I liked originally. It's definitely 1. So we're going to roll with 1. I like 1. Thank you guys for that. Danny, I already know, man, but we'll set you up once you get in there. We saw your email. I'll get to it after this when we set everybody up. We send it all at the same time, not one by one, because that way it's just easy. Copy and paste it out to make sure everybody gets in as soon as possible. If you were wondering how you win the annual membership, we'll recap it right quick. But you go to @ShipItNation. Make sure you're following. Don't unfollow. Make sure you're following. Go to our pinned post, which is this one, and then just repost it and like it, or quote it and like it with a message, whether you want to just leave something personal, a happy birthday message, something with #ShipIt to get entered into the draw. And Hoop and I will announce that next Wednesday. We will give it away. Again, if you are just joining, or if you're already a member, joining tonight to become a member, it's up to you. But you guys can hop in, get into that Discord tonight. Make sure you have notifications turned on. And we are going to be giving away over $1,000 this weekend, starting with $300 giveaways tonight, guaranteed, probably a lot more. And then we're going to be posting a free roll with at least $1,000 available at the PGA Championship this week for the first 200 people to get in. So make sure that you're in that Discord. Hoop, anything else? Any final thoughts when it comes to PGA or the Ship It Nation birthday celebration? Anything else you want to add?
Well, yeah, excited for obviously the birthday celebration. Big things coming, obviously, for year 2. I mean, we've made a lot of commitment to our members and our community, and held true to all of them. And that's something we're going to be looking to obviously do rolling into year 2. A lot of big things, obviously, on the horizon. A lot of big plans, a lot of big additions, a lot of big improvements, and looking forward to it. And then in terms of the last monthly giveaway, I mean, I believe it was the first comment, and he claims to be the first like as well. He's been active in the chat, and his name is "I'm a loser till I win the Millie." Love
it. So I saw he definitely was the first comment today. Yes. If we go way, way, way back, I don't know if I can get there. Very active chat, like you said, but I just saw our guy take down his thing. I didn't stop to click it though. But yeah, thank you guys so much for all the support. Just an awesome show today, breaking it all down. But I'm a loser till I win the Millie. Got to get that avatar updated when we get you in there. But just wanted to say your golf content has made me a better player in DFS. Thanks for all your content, and congrats on your celebration day. Keep 100. Love to see that. So shout out to you. Email us info@shipitnation.com. Make sure you screenshot your account. We'll get all the 5 winners set up there. The rest of the giveaways will be in the Discord for members only. The Founding Family free roll is in your emails. If you didn't get that, reach out and I can verify, but that's for anybody who was with us from day 0 to 30. Good as a loyalty benefit. And then last chance, like I said, to get in, shipitnation.com/join. Last chance to lock in 15% off our lowest prices. Use the code BDAY15. That's BDAY15 to get in on the action. It's been a lot of fun this first year. We're celebrating a little bit today, and then we get right back to work with Shiptimizer and another big phase that we're going to be announcing later on. It won't come anytime right away. We're going to focus on one thing at a time, but it's going to be a big year too. There's going to be a lot to come. NFL coming back sooner than you think. The schedule release is tonight. So shout out to everybody out there for all the support. Thank you all for watching. We couldn't appreciate it more. Thanks to Hoop for hopping on here with me, breaking it all down for another great event. Congrats to everyone that won. Wish you all the best this week at the PGA Championship. For Hoop, for myself, ToeTagginTambo, let's ship it!